General Hospital spoilers for Monday, July 7th, state that Rocco Falconeri will lose it with Lulu Spencer about the Brit Westbourne surrogacy she concealed from him. Carly Spencer will also give Giovanni Gio Palmieri the hard truth, so let's talk about it. GH will air a replay on Friday, July 4th, but viewers won't have to wait long for the action to resume in Port Charles. The program will return with an all-new episode on Monday, July 7th, beginning with Rocco's released rage. At home, Rocco simply approached Lulu and pressed her to tell him about Brit. Now that Rocco has seen Brooklyn Quartermain's research, he expects Lulu to provide solutions. "You did not give birth to me." "She did what?" Rocco angrily asks Lulu in Monday's GH preview video. Lulu will reveal the intricate narrative of the stolen embryo, and how she did not realize Ben Westbourne was her son until later. Although Lulu will not think this changes anything, Rocco will be furious at being kept in the dark about all the Brit news. Brooklyn will talk to Cody Bell about ending her quarrel with Lulu. Brooklyn will say that one of them had to be the larger person, and she may explain that she simply wants to move on. Of course, Brooklyn will be unaware that Rocco has already ripped into Lulu after discovering the file she had on him. Lulu will undoubtedly be furious when she learns that Brooklyn is the reason Rocco discovered the truth about Brit. Next, Jocelyn Jacks will inform Vaughn that this isn't working, and declare that they are finished. Jocelyn appears to be planning a public breakup, but she may get closer to Vaughn behind closed doors. Carly might see Jocelyn's declaration and question her daughter about it later on. Monday's episode will also see Carly's talk with Gio, and her admission about the complexities of having Sonny in her life. Carly will admit that she would be lying if she stated there was no other side, presumably to Sonny. Although Sonny is kind and fiercely protective of his family, Carly may recognize that there are certain harsh realities that come with being a mob boss. Sonny's loved ones can occasionally be damaged as a result of their connection to him, thus Carly may agree Tracy Quartermain's concerns are not unfounded. Anna Devane plans to question Jen Sidwell. Sidwell, on the other hand, will stonewall Anna, arguing that if she wants answers, she should turn to Sonny. Finally, Sonny will inform Laura Collins that there may be a way to limit the damage caused by the escalating mob feud, but she may have reservations about his method. According to General Hospital spoilers, Sonny and Sidwell's feud is far from done, so stay tuned for more twists and turns. Rocco had always been the quiet one, the rock in the storm, the youngster who had matured into a young man of discipline, brilliance, and grace. But all that elegance was broken when he confronted Lulu. The rage he'd held up for years, the silent contempt, the unresolved questions, it all burst. He discovered her at the Metro Court restaurant, seated near the window, sipping tea and smiling as if the world hadn't fallen apart around them. Rocco did not wait. He walked up to her, his eyes burning. His voice shook with pent-up wrath rather than fear. "You left?" he murmured coldly, the word lingering in the air like a blade. "You walked out and expected everything to stay the same." Lulu looked up shocked. "Rocco." "No," he snapped. "You can't say my name like that. As if nothing happened. As if you hadn't missed half my existence." She stood carefully, attempting to maintain her composure. "I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice," Rocco said. "You decided to leave. You decided to stay away. And now you show up as if we're expected to continue where we left off? You don't even know me." Lulu's eyes were filled with tears. "I wanted to return sooner. I wanted to be there for you. But you weren't," he exclaimed, causing everybody to turn their heads. "You were gone. Dante had to cover for you. He never said anything terrible about you, but I could see it in his face. Every birthday, every school event. When I asked about you, he would simply shift the conversation. You abandoned us." Lulu reached for him, but he retreated. "I know I hurt you," she muttered. "No," Rocco replied coldly. "You did not hurt me. You made sure I felt nothing at all. I stopped asking about you years ago. And now you're here anticipating what? Forgiveness? A hug? You don't understand that." Lulu's heart broke right there. She knew this would happen, but it still crushed her. It was unbearable to watch her son, her baby, in such anguish and anger. But Rocco did not wait for an apology. He turned and went away, shoulders tense and jaw taut. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Carly was dealing with her own personal storm. She paced around the Quartermain living room waiting for Gio. When he walked in, she got to the chase. "You need to hear this," she insisted, holding strong. "And you're not going to like it." Gio sighed. "What now?" "I've watched you," Carly said, her tone stern. "You're brilliant and capable, but you're heading down a path that will ruin you. You're overly attached to folks who won't cross the street to aid you." Gio folded his arms. "If this is about Sonny..." "It's not just about Sonny," Carly said. "It is about you. You're attempting to be someone you are not. You want to prove yourself, and I understand. But you are pursuing shadows. You're playing in a world that devours people alive. I can handle it." Carly stepped closer, her eyes burning. "No, you cannot. Not yet. You're getting in over your head and someone will be hurt. It's probably you. Or worse, someone you care about." Gio turned away, his jaw tightened. "You believe I am a kid. You do not respect me." "I do respect you," she responded, her tone softening. "That's why I am telling you the truth. You have potential, Gio. There is real promise. But you're wasting it by attempting to impress people who do not deserve it." Gio turned to face her, wounded. "I'm trying to find where I belong." "You belong with people who care about you," Carly explained. "Not with people who will throw you under the bus the moment things go south." There was quiet. Then Carly dealt the ultimate blow. "If you keep doing this, you'll end up like Drew. Or worse, like Jason. And believe me, I loved them both, but their lifestyles were not to be envied. They lived in complete darkness, and it cost them everything." That landed. Gio did not respond, but she could see it in his eyes. Doubt, pain, perhaps even fear. She hated herself for putting it there, but it needed to be stated. She left him alone to struggle with the truth. And across town, in a shadowy corner of Rice Park, Jocelyn was finishing her own narrative. She stood face to face with Vaughn, arms crossed and attitude hard. "I can't do this anymore," she explained simply. Vaughn frowned. "What do I do?" "This," Jocelyn reiterated. "Us. Sneaking around. The lies. The excuses. I thought we had something real, but I'm starting to think I was mistaken." He appeared to be truly hurt. "Are you ending things?" "I have to," she replied. "Because I am not pleased. I am not myself around you. I'm anxious. Guarded. I'm always scared about what will happen next." "That is not love, Vaughn. That is fear." Vaughn moved closer. "We've been through a lot. And maybe that's the problem," she interjected. "We've been through a lot, yet we're not progressing. We aren't moving forward. And I need more than just survival." He clutched her hand in desperation. "Joss, I love you." She gradually drew away. "I know you do. But it isn't enough. I need trust. Honesty. And I don't believe you can provide that to me. Not right now." Vaughn stared down, devastated. "Is that it?" Jocelyn drew a hesitant breath. "Yeah, that's it." She turned away, blinking back tears. It hurt. Of course it happened. But staying would have hurt worse. And deep down, she knew it was correct. She needed to create room for the woman she was becoming, not the girl who had spent too long making excuses for someone else's mess. Later that night, Port Charles felt cooler than normal. At the gym, Gio punched the heavy bag until his knuckles were raw. He was trying to understand Carly's comments, but all he felt was uncertainty. Was she correct? Was he indeed following a path intended for someone else? His thoughts strayed to Jason. The quiet he carried. The pain that drives his loyalty. Was it the future Gio was pursuing? A life in which trust was a luxury and love was a liability. At the same time, Rocco sat alone on the docks, knees drawn to his chest. He despised himself for yelling at Lulu, but he couldn't take it back. He'd waited too long for her homecoming. His rage was directed not just at her, but also at the years he had lost, the unanswered questions, and the love that had no place to go. Jocelyn was in her dorm room, staring up at the ceiling. She was numb and drained. She kept repeating the split, questioning whether she had been too harsh or not harsh enough. Vaughn had meant something to her, but it wasn't right now. It had not been for a long time. By dawn, they would all be aching in their own way. But something had shifted. Rocco had finally said the words he had buried. Carly had revealed a fact that Gio couldn't ignore. and Jocelyn had moved away from a relationship that no longer benefited her. Their paths will cross again. In Port Charles they always do. But for the time being they were standing alone facing themselves. Lulu was hurt by Rocco's words and sought refuge in Laura's hug. She had not cried like this in years. Laura listened without judging, simply holding her daughter while she unwound. "I miss too much," Lulu sobbed. "He hates me." "He doesn't hate you," Laura whispered quietly. "He is harmed. That is different. He needed to say such things. You needed to hear them." Lulu nodded, heartbroken. "I don't know how to fix it." "You start by staying," Laura advised. "Don't run this time. You stay. Even when it's difficult." Meanwhile, Carly watched the sunrise from her kitchen window, recalling all of the times she had attempted to shield her own children from the world's cruelty. She hoped Gio would take her words to heart. She couldn't force him. He wasn't under her power, but she could try to lead him. At the park, Vaughn sat on the seat where he and Jocelyn had their first kiss. He relived every moment, argument and laugh. He had botched up. He knew it now. Unfortunately, it was too late. Gio ultimately made his way to Sonny's penthouse, unsure what he would say. However, when Sonny opened the door, Gio paused. "Is everything okay?" Sonny inquired. "No," Gio answered honestly. "I'm not sure anything is." Sonny nodded slowly. "Come inside. We'll talk." And they did. But for the first time, Gio wasn't completely loyal. He listened with a guarded heart. Rocco returned home to see Dante in the kitchen. He didn't say much, simply pouring a drink of water and sitting down. "So, how was your night?" Dante inquired kindly. Rocco gazed at him for a long time. "I saw Mom." Dante nodded. "How did it go?" "I lost it," Rocco said. "I said some things I can't take back." "She probably needed to hear them," Dante explained. "She'll still love you." "I'm not sure I care," Rocco said. But he did. He cared too much. And that was the issue. Later that evening, Jocelyn received a message from Trina. It was just a meme. Something ridiculous. But it made her grin. Life would continue. Slowly. Carefully. With pain and purpose. Port Charles had a way of curing the wounded. Not quickly, not cleanly. But it did. Through unpleasant reunions, difficult realities, and quiet strength. Rocco would have to determine whether he could let his mother back in. Gio would have to confront who he truly was, not who others expected him to be. And Jocelyn would have to learn to stand alone, even when love failed her. They were all broken in their own unique ways. However, none of them were beyond repair. According to General Hospital teasers, Michael Corinthos' painkiller addiction tale may be featured soon. Will Willow Tate and Drew Kane have a new angle to pursue custody of the children? In GH's July 1st episode, Michael stated he could use a drink, but changed his mind when he discovered he had taken a pain reliever that morning. Michael took one since he didn't want anything to interfere with the christening ceremony. Sasha Gilmore Corbin was astonished to learn Michael was still struggling because she imagined he was fully recovered. Michael admitted to having some residual nerve damage, but physicians are confident that he will be pain-free soon. But they're not sure. "Could you be dealing with this pain for a long time?" a concerned Sasha inquired. Natalia Ramirez's death spreads. Natalia will soon have an autopsy at the hospital. Meanwhile, Marco Rios is straining to understand the situation. Marco will need to speak with his sister, Allison Blaze Rogers. "I am hoping that Natalia's death will bring Blaze back to PC." Brooklyn Quartermain announces that she has horrible news. Natalia worked at Deception, thus BLQ and Tracy Quartermain will need to issue some sort of press announcement. Tracy Quartermain's warning. According to General Hospital teasers, when BLQ delivers awful news, Tracy visits the pool to speak with Giovanni Gio Palmieri. The matriarch will warn him that his life is in jeopardy. When he asks who, I expect Tracy would say Sonny Corinthos. As a result, despite his desire to avoid his family, Gio may be forced to choose between them. Thursday, July 3, 2025. Fans will also witness Dante Falconeri and Jason Morgan having a heated confrontation. Emma Scorpio Drake wants Gio to discover the truth. Sonny questions Justine Turner's credibility. Trina Robinson warns Kai Taylor. Maxie Jones discovers a discovery. Also, Lulu Spencer quizzes Laura Collins about her next step. How much worse can things become when Sonny and Jen Sidwell's mob war heats up? Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing on Thursday, July 3, 2025? Share your opinions in the comments area below. Keep watching ABC soap operas to find out what happens next. Sonny had been on edge for days, and Justine's stubbornness to back down just added to the tension. It wasn't just her presence in Port Charles that bothered him. It was how close she was getting to Kristina, how involved she was in the family's business, and how boldly she questioned his decisions. The woman had nerve, Sonny would admit. But now was not the time to be nervous. It was a time for loyalty, silence, and understanding your station. And Justine obviously didn't. Their most recent altercation in the back room of Pozzolo's burst with the kind of rage Sonny saved for only the most intimate betrayals. Justine held her ground as usual, her voice calm yet firm. You are not untouchable, Sonny. Not anymore. People who used to be afraid of you are now asking questions, and you are giving them reason to be skeptical. Sonny's voice sliced through the room like a knife. I don't give a damn what others think about me. You? You don't get to stand there and discuss who I am. You are not family. I'm closer to family than you think, Justine responded. And if Kristina is important to you, you'll start acting like it. She's trying to prove herself to you, but all you do is drive her away. Sonny's look was all fire. You don't know anything about my daughter. I know she is hurting. And I know you'd sooner face the demons of your past than show her any trust. It was a line Sonny could not ignore. He stormed out of the room, knowing that if he remained another minute, he'd say something worse, something he couldn't take back. But the harm had been done. Justine was not going anywhere, and her remarks had come too close to the reality. He was pushing Kristina away, and part of him was unsure how to stop. Meanwhile, Michael had hit his limit. For weeks he'd watched Willow skirt around her doubts, hide her inquiries, and fake a grin whenever things became tight. But now he couldn't bear the silence. He discovered her in the garden behind the Quartermain mansion, her hands buried in dirt, her face too calm for the tempest she was suppressing. We need to talk, he stated softly but urgently. Willow looked up and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. About what? You know what? You've been drifting away since the hearing. You do not trust me, do you? Willow did not respond at first. She stood, wiping her hands on her jeans and meeting his gaze. It is not about trust, Michael. It's all about honesty. About getting to know the person with whom I intend to create a life. Since Drew returned, everything has changed. That's not fair, Michael retorted. I told you everything I knew. No, you told me what you wanted me to believe. Her voice trembled with control. You knew Drew was playing a different game, but you allowed him draw you in. You believe that because you did not say the words, you did not choose a side. Michael's shoulders clenched. I did what I had to do to protect our family. And now our family is more divided than ever, Willow said. You are locking people out. You're returning to that place when winning is all that matters. It's not about winning, he said. It's about maintaining control. Because the second we lose that, people are hurt. Willow stepped back and shook her head. Then maybe we're already too far gone. The comments hit Michael harder than any charge. He didn't know how to contact her anymore. Everything he had done to protect her and provide a future for her, and the children suddenly appeared to be a stumbling block. And worse, she no longer saw him as a collaborator but as a threat. Tracy Quartermain has been keeping a close eye on events across town. She was not the type to become involved in the family's everyday mess unless absolutely required. But the tension was high and it was beginning to harm business. More than that, she saw a storm approaching, and no one else appeared prepared. She cornered Brooke Lynn in the living room, who had just concluded a heated conversation with Chase. Her granddaughter appeared harried, barely holding it together as she struggled to balance her marriage, profession, and the instability in her family. Let me give you a piece of advice, Tracy remarked without bothering with pleasantries. Keep an eye on Michael. He is not thinking clearly. Brooke Lynn did not even flinch. Do you think I don't know that? I think you're too busy cleaning up other people's messes to notice your own backyard's on fire, Tracy said with a laugh. Michael is spiraling, and he's dragging you all with him. Then help him, Brooke Lynn challenged. You've got more influence than anyone. Jason had only recently returned to Port Charles, and he was still negotiating shifting loyalties and damaged familial bonds. But when Brooke Lynn expressed her suspicions, his response was fast and calm. He did not mistrust her. He knew Michael. He remembered everything Michael had gone through to endure Abby's death, prison, and AJ's betrayal. He also realized that Michael, despite his strength, was carrying too much alone. The Courtemain drive and Corinthian pride left little opportunity for vulnerability. Jason did not confront Michael right away. He shadowed him for a few days, observing the conduct for himself. Then he approached Michael on a late night at the Metro Court, just the two of them, when Michael was coming off something and attempting to hide it with espresso and charm. "You're not fine," Jason remarked plainly. Michael froze. The mask did not simply slide, it broke. He did not deny it completely. He attempted to explain. Said it wasn't as it appeared. He said he had things under control. But Jason saw through everything. When he volunteered to help gently and without judgment, Michael broke down. What followed was not immediate healing, but the gradual revelation of truths Michael had withheld from everyone. He said he had been using for some months, that it had begun as a coping method, that he felt humiliated, that he wasn't sure how to quit. He was afraid of what it would mean for his role as a father, as a husband, as a Corinthian and Courtemain. Jason proposed a quiet rehab stay, away from Port Charles with no press or fanfare. Michael refused at first. He stated he couldn't leave, not with Drew spiraling, Sonny still alienated, and ELQ in disarray. But Jason told him that if he didn't make time to rescue himself, everything he was attempting to hold together would crumble anyway. Michael struggled with the decision for several days. Willow mustered the confidence to address him again, this time with tears in her eyes, pleading with him to prioritize his family by putting himself first. Wiley needed a father, not a martyr. Michael, still sensitive from his revelation to Jason, ultimately consented. He spent some quiet time with Wiley before leaving. He didn't tell the whole truth, just that Daddy needed time to recover. Wiley, knowledgeable beyond his years in an innocent childlike way, held him hard and promised to wait. Michael's departure was subtle, but it shocked the family. Ned and Olivia were shocked. Brooke Lynn felt relieved. Carly was irritated with herself for not noticing sooner. Sonny, receiving the news secondhand, felt a horrible mix of shame and powerlessness, especially given their recent conflict. But Drew reacted the most angrily, disguising his own pain and decline. He accused Michael of cowardice, of fleeing when things were tough. Jason stepped in, calling Drew out for projecting. That confrontation opened a new wound, and revealed how far Drew had sunk. As Michael began his recuperation process, the narrative did not fade into the background. Port Charles has a long memory, and whispers circulated. Instead of facing censure, Michael received an unexpected amount of support. Even Nina, his most vociferous critic, came out, sending a sloppy but genuine message of hope. She was aware of the devastating effects addiction has on families. She understood the cost of silence. Meanwhile, Michael's absence compelled others to move up. Willow discovered strength she didn't realize she possessed. She took on more responsibilities in the hospital and at home, becoming a more visible mom and advocate for Wiley's emotional health. Brooke Lynn stepped in to handle some of Michael's pending projects at ELQ. Jason kept the family informed, but made it obvious that Michael's privacy was top priority. The coming months were not easy. Recovery was not a linear process. Michael experienced relapses, moments of doubt, and an increasingly intense reckoning with all he had hidden over the years. Therapy sessions brought up past traumas, ranging from Claudia's death to his time in prison. He realized how much of his life had been spent playing roles. Good son, company heir, protector, with little time spent figuring out who he truly was. But he remained the course. He stayed for Willow, for Wiley, for himself. He returned to Port Charles without fanfare. He did not immediately reclaim his office at ELQ. He did not give a great speech. He had just started showing up. Take one day at a time. People noticed the shift. His vision was clearer. His motions are more grounded. He laughed more honestly. He listened rather than reacted. And while he still felt the weight of his legacy, he no longer allowed it to define him. However, the narrative did not finish there. Michael's recovery prompted more in-depth conversations about mental health, pressure, masculinity, and vulnerability. Other characters began to ponder on their own past. In a quiet time with Carly, Sonny acknowledged that he, too, had used narcotics to remain functioning. Dante spoke up to Sam about the hardships of police employment. Even Ned, in an unusually open moment, spoke with Brooklyn about how ambition can separate individuals. And Drew? Seeing Michael find atonement made him look in the mirror. What he seen scared him. And what followed next for Drew may be much darker. What about Michael? He had weathered another storm. Not unscarred, but more complete than before. And Port Charles, with all of its shadows and secrets, was finally realizing that sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is ask for help. General Hospital recaps for Wednesday, July 2nd include Gio Palmieri's threat to drop out, while Jocelyn Jacks reveals her actual goals as a WSB agent. Jen Sidwell also frames Selena Wu for the Charlie's pub burning and compels her to leave town. Gio threatens to drop out. Gio meets Emma Scorpio Drake at the coffee shop and expresses his displeasure that the dog they discovered at the baseball game keeps stealing his sneakers. She wonders if he's angry at Dante Falconeri and Brooklyn Quartermain, or at the puppy she's named Outback. He admits that he is upset about it, but is unable to communicate his sentiments, and he apologizes for being negative. She assures him that he is just the perfect amount of downer, and he reveals that he has decided to quit PCU. He has no ambitions to play the violin again, and is currently enrolled on a music scholarship. General Hospital recap Wednesday, July 2nd. Sonny vows revenge, Sidwell frames Selena. Emma encourages Gio not to make a quick decision. She suggests that he wait for the dust to settle, but he claims that all of his happy memories of music have been corrupted. Without the love for it, the music is hollow. It's just another thing his family has taken from him. She offers to help him discover his interests, including stopping Professor Henry Dalton. She is appalled that someone would experiment on such cute canines as Outback. Emma suggests that drastic measures may be required. He feels this indicates something unlawful, but he is willing to do anything for a good cause. Jocelyn makes an admission. Vaughn discovers Joss outside Charlie's while the fire crew is clearing up. She admits that she can't leave the situation. She is concerned that Kristina Corinthos Davis almost lost her life solely because she is Sonny Corinthos' daughter. They talk about Morgan Corinthos dying and Michael getting burned. Vaughn assumes she doesn't like her former stepfather. She has attempted to overcome her rage, but she has little sympathy for him, revealing that this is one of the reasons she joined the WSB intends to bring him down. She is concerned that confessing this will get her fired, but he assures her that it is the contrary. Once he knows her better, he will explain why he joined. They kiss. Sidwell blames Selena for the Charlie's pub arson. Sidwell invites Selena to Windmere and informs her that she is about to go to battle with Sonny. She insists on working hard to be on Sonny's good side. He claims to know for certain that two of her pals set fire to Charlie's. The fire will be traced back to her. She feels he set her up and threatens to tell Sonny the truth. He doubts Sonny will let her live long enough for that, and he implies that he has planted additional evidence of her complicity. Sidwell forces Selena to leave town for a while. Sidwell has clearly driven Selena into a corner, or she would not give in so easily, she assumed. He wanted to discuss reinvigorating the high-stakes poker game she runs. Sidwell warns her that unless she wants a conflict with Sonny, the only choice for her is to leave town temporarily. He informs her that she can return with his permission after Port Charles has altered dramatically. This means Sonny will be out of the picture, and she appears to acquiesce willingly. She leaves to catch a flight, and he bids her safe travels. Alexis and Molly visit Kristina at the hospital. Kristina wants to leave her hospital bed, but her mother won't let her. She describes what happened before the fire and notes the smell of gas.